Kia ora koutou katoa, ko Wiong taku ingoa. My name is Wiong. Firstly, I just wanted to say how exciting it is for me to see this group of prayer warriors that prays every single week, week in and week out. And truly, the work of God can only advance through His grace and His power and His mercy with the prayers of the saints. So thank you, everyone. So by way of introduction, I'm married to Rita. Been married for 22 years. I have two boys, teenage boys, age 17 and 16. I've spent the last 12 years as a pastor in my local church in Auckland City, Every Nation, Auckland City, as the next generation pastor, overseeing kids, youth, campus, and young adults. Also spent most of that time as a campus minister, reaching out to students at the universities. About end of last year, October, Ben and I had a coffee, and it was sort of a season of change for me to transition out of full-time church-based ministry to be available to serve God in the broader capacity outside the walls of my local church. And so Ben approached me with the opportunity to join the team, and I came on board 1 day a week. Now, so that's me, and it's such a privilege to be able to be part of the amazing work that has been going on for many years with the Auckland Church Network, headed by Jonathan Dove. I'll give you a quick background, a bit of a history as to where you would have heard the term One Heart Auckland has come from. Just over a year ago, we had a gentleman by the name of Andy Street come from Bristol, the UK. Andy has a long association with New Zealand. He has family here, and he comes here regularly and has a love for this land. He was invited to do a presentation at Grace City Church, where a range of leaders from the Christian for-purpose organizations and some church leaders were invited to hear Andy's testimonies about the work of unity in the city of Bristol. And it's something that has been quite remarkable, nothing short of remarkable, but it's been a work of unity that has spanned almost 20 years. You know, the way that from the stories that Andy has shared, it really inspired the small group of us. At the time, it was purely a meeting. There was no agenda beyond that. But from the sharing, there was a clear inspiration for many attending that, you know, we began to dream that could this be possible in Aotearoa, New Zealand? And obviously, for those that attended, most of us, in fact, all of us worked and ministered in Auckland and lived in Auckland. So the conversation went from that meeting to a breakfast meeting where a broader group of people were invited to debrief that really inspiring session by Andy, to discuss and to pray and to dream about the possibility of something like this, something like what's happened in Bristol, happening in Auckland. So how it transpired was Jonathan and Ben were, I guess, given the idea of looking at the biggest issues facing our city of Auckland. And there's a document issued by our Auckland Council called the Auckland 2050 Plan. And so some work was done to have a look at that Auckland 2050 Plan to identify some of the issues that our city of Auckland, our council care about, the deepest pain that our city cares about. And from there, we, as inspired by Bristol, we observed that Bristol got to the point where the city council would consult the church. The city council, the mayor, would reach out to the church, the Big C church, not a particular church. The unity got to the level that there was such a thing as the church when the city reached out. And so uh, issues like homelessness and food poverty and the list goes on, where the local leadership will reach out to the church for help. And in fact, there was one particular story that was very inspiring, that there was a local emergency that happened, and the local council took three times as long as the local church to mobilize help. So I think that's really inspiring. And from that breakfast meeting, we identified the top five issues that are facing Auckland. And we held an all-in meeting. We promoted this at the Auckland Prayer Breakfast that was held at Eden Park last year, and invited people to come to the very first meeting, and which is, the first time that the phrase "One Heart Auckland" was coined. We thought we needed to give it a name, and through the collective wisdom of a small group, the phrase "One Heart Auckland" was birthed. And at that very first meeting in November last year, we had just over 100 people gathered together at Grace City Church, where the vision was cast. And we took time and we broke out into breakout groups, much like breakout Zoom rooms, but we had breakout groups in the building across the five issues. I wanted to highlight a couple of verses before I go into the specific issues. Many of us would know this very inspiring verse from Isaiah 58:12, where it says, "Your people will rebuild the long deserted ruins. You will be called repairers of cities, restorers of communities." We have a beautiful city. We have a beautiful nation, New Zealand, but it's broken. And as Auckland has the top five issues, I'm sure every single city and town in New Zealand has our own specific points that we would need to pray for as well. I'm reminded of Nehemiah, when in chapter 1, verse 3 to 4, it says this: "And they said to me, the remnant there in the province who had survived the exile is in great trouble and shame. The wall of Jerusalem is broken down and its gates are destroyed by fire." As soon as I heard these words, Nehemiah heard these words, it said, "I sat down and wept and mourned for days, and I continued fasting and praying for the God of heaven." When we look at the brokenness in our city, my prayer is that God will move us the way that he moved Nehemiah, that we would pray, that we would take action, that we would advocate for those that can't speak up for themselves. We would find resources to help in areas that our various cities and towns need help with. And Nehemiah is obviously and has often been an inspiration for all of us, I'm sure. So the five issues, the first one, homelessness. There's stats that says that homelessness has doubled in 8 months, and this was some statistics brought on or looked at earlier this year. The second of the five issues is food insecurity. 1 in 3 children go to school hungry. There's a serious issue with hunger with young primary school kids, and the hunger leads to behavioral problems and difficulty focusing on education. Young people, mental well-being of young people, 1 in 5 has a mental health issue. We know Youthline get a very high percentage of young people calling in with suicidal ideation. Family violence and breakdown. The statistics show us that there is one family violence case reported every 12 minutes in New Zealand, which is really, really shocking. Social isolation is a huge one. There's an epidemic of loneliness. Social isolation, there can be many sources. It could be with the elderly. It could be with immigrants. It could be with youth as well. There's statistics that say that being the most connected generation, that yet they're the most lonely generation. So, so these are the five issues that we, I guess, as a group in One Heart Auckland, have been focused on. Um, what we have done is we've created action teams. So we've got leaders of each of these action teams, these five action teams, and we've got people that are working across Christian organizations that focus on these various issues, and also church leaders that are passionate about these areas, gathering in action teams throughout different points in time at different locations. And the view that the goal in the short term is for each action team to form a core team going forward, a core leadership team, and to find at least one project to collaborate on. And so there's progress happening across all five. And again, that praise God for the progress, but we need a lot of prayer for momentum to keep going, because how many of us know collaboration is difficult? And so with a little bit of momentum, there's no guarantees it'll keep going. So I just wanted to say, there's some good signs, early signs. We're in our first year of One Heart Auckland. So here are the prayer points. I'll just overview it. Four prayer points. And my request would be for all of us to keep Aotearoa New Zealand in mind. It's so beautiful to have people from all over New Zealand on the screen today. And so when you pray, pray for Auckland, but pray for your city, pray for your town. Because I believe that God is really moving unity, and we're seeing it with our own eyes and hearing it with our ears, that there's the desire and the momentum for working together is accelerating. And I'm sure some of us are hearing and seeing that as well throughout New Zealand. So the 4 points. Firstly, pray that God will stir the hearts of everyday Christians with the same compassion and conviction he gave Nehemiah for the flourishing of a city. Number two, pray that church leaders would embrace a renewed vision for the spiritual and social flourishing of their communities. So I highlight there the spiritual and social flourishing. Often churches focus on the spiritual flourishing, which is awesome, but our prayer is that churches will be able to mobilize and get out of the pews and reach out to our communities even more than we have. Point number three, to pray that churches would be willing to invest generously, practically, strategically, and financially in serving their neighborhoods and advancing God's mission. I truly believe the resources is in the house, whether it be financial, whether it be skills, whether it be human resources. I think the resources for the pain of our city and our towns is in the church. And then finally, pray that the church's influence would grow across local communities and public life, so that through humble service, the hope of Christ will be seen, trusted, and welcome. So that's all I'd like to share tonight. And I believe the prayer points will be shared into the chat. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity. God bless.